All right, today we're going to talk about something that sounds, well, almost too good to be true. A marketing model with a really bold promise. What if you could get more clients, real paying clients, without spending a single penny up front? Yeah, it's a thing. It's called risk-free marketing, and we're about to dive into exactly how it's supposed to work.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's just get real for a second. If you run a local service business, this is probably going to sound very familiar. You know that feeling? You write a big check to a marketing agency, cross your fingers, and just hope it works. And then, crickets. It's just so frustrating, right? And it happens all the time.
And you know why that feeling is so common? Because let's be honest, traditional marketing is basically a gamble. It's like you're walking into a casino and putting all your hard-earned cash on the table, betting on a strategy that has super high costs and, way too often, results you can't even be sure of. So here's the fundamental problem, right? The old model is all about high risk, you paying these big fees up front, and getting these kind of vague, wishy-washy results. But what you actually need, what every business needs, is the complete opposite. You need zero risk, you need to pay for actual results, and you need to see a clear, undeniable return on your investment.
Okay, so what if we just flip that whole model completely upside down? That's the big idea we're digging into today. A totally new way to think about growing your business.
So here it is, the big question. What would actually change for your business if all that financial risk just vanished? Seriously, just imagine for a second. You only pay for marketing after a new customer has walked through your door and already paid you. Think about that.
The first thing that changes? Boom, no setup fees. That big hurdle, that initial cost that stops so many businesses from even trying something new, it's just gone.
And that also means you can say goodbye to those fixed monthly retainers. You know the ones. You're paying out this big chunk of change every single month, whether your phone is ringing off the hook or it's dead silent.
So where does that leave us? Well, the conclusion is pretty simple and pretty powerful. The total upfront cost to you, the business owner, is a big, fat zero. We're not talking low risk here. The whole point is for it to be no risk.
And this is where we get the official definition of risk-free marketing. It's what's called a performance-based system. The marketing company actually invests their own time and their own money to help you grow. They only make a dime when you get paid. It means they have real skin in the game. Their success is literally tied to your success.
Okay, so that sounds great in theory, but how does it actually work? Like, what are they doing? Well, it's way more than just sending you a few leads. It's designed to be a complete all-in-one system, basically a growth engine for your business.
Let's look at the parts of that engine. First, they build out your whole online presence for you. Then they get a social media growth system going. Next, and this is cool, they use AI to handle calls. They focus on getting you what are called high-intent leads. We'll talk more about those in a sec. Everything gets tracked in a CRM, and finally, they're constantly optimizing and tweaking things to get better and better results. It's the whole shebang, totally done for you.
All right, let's zoom in on one of those pieces for a second, that AI-powered call handling. Look, as a business owner, you're busy, right? You miss calls. It happens. This system uses an AI assistant that instantly jumps on those missed calls, qualifies the person to see if they're a good fit, and can even book them right onto your calendar. The whole point is to make sure you never, ever miss out on a paying customer just because you couldn't get to the phone. Another really key part of this whole thing is the kind of leads they generate. See, they try to avoid cold leads. Those are people who are just kind of kicking the tires, not really ready to buy. Instead, the entire focus is on high-intent leads. These are the people who are actively searching right now for the exact service you offer. It's the difference between someone browsing a car magazine and someone who's at the dealership with their checkbook out. The conversion rate is just way, way higher.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. A model like this, where you pay per result, has to be built on a massive amount of trust. So, how do they do that? Let's take a look at how that trust is actually built right into the system. And that leads to the most obvious question, right? If you're paying them per customer, how in the world do you know for sure that the customer came from them? I mean, that's a make-or-break question for this whole model. The answer, they say, is what they call radical transparency. Here's how it works. Every single lead, every phone call, every form submission is tracked and even recorded inside a dashboard that you have 24/7 access to. You can literally listen to the calls yourself and see exactly where every customer came from. There's no hiding, no guesswork. When you combine that with the pay-per-customer model, your goals and their goals become perfectly aligned. And they try to build that trust even further by making it a real partnership, not just a service you hire. For example, they offer exclusivity. That means they won't go sign up your biggest competitor down the street. It also means no long-term locked-in contracts.
You stick around because it's working, not because you're forced to. And they even help you build your reputation by getting more of those 5-star reviews on places like Google and Yelp.
When you boil it all down, the entire philosophy is this one simple idea. We only succeed when you succeed. The whole business model is built around that. If you aren't growing and making more money, guess what? Neither are they.
So, who is this actually for? Well, it's specifically designed for local service businesses. We're talking about plumbers, electricians, barbershops, landscaping companies, you name it. Basically, if your business depends on getting customers from your local area, you're the exact person this is built for.
And that brings us right back to the beginning. This whole model is positioned as the antidote to that old marketing gamble. By flipping the risk, taking it off of your shoulders and putting it onto the marketing partners, it forces everyone to be on the same team with payment tied directly to real tangible results. So it really leaves us with a big question. Is this kind of performance-based partnership the future of marketing for local businesses?